Welcome to Islamic Finance Unboxed. Today we think together about inflation, Riba. Is there any correlation between them? Is one of them normalize the other? Let's move on. Every year, your money buys less. Bread costs more. Rent increases. Assets inflate. You didn't take a loan. You didn't sign an interest contract. And yet, your purchasing power decreases. So here's the question. Is inflation a hidden form of Riba? Or are we confusing two different economic realities? Let's unpack this carefully. What is Riba precisely? Before we compare inflation to Riba, we need precision. In Islamic finance, Riba refers to a guaranteed increase on a loaned amount, without corresponding risk or productive activity. If I lend you 100 and demand 110 back purely because of time, that increase is Riba. It is prohibited because it transfers wealth without shared risk. It burdens the borrower. It creates structural inequality. Riba is contractual. It is intentional. It is agreed upon in advance. That's important. What is inflation? Inflation, on the other hand, is the general rise in prices across an economy. It can happen due to increased money supply, supply chain shocks, demand growth, currency devaluation, government monetary policy. Inflation is not a contract between two individuals. It is a macroeconomic phenomenon. No one signs an agreement saying, your savings will lose 5% this year. It happens system-wide. That distinction matters legally. Why people call inflation hidden Riba? The comparison comes from this feeling. If banks earn interest, and at the same time inflation reduces savings, then ordinary people lose from both sides. Debtors may benefit from inflation. Creditors may lose real value. And when central banks expand money supply, the purchasing power of fixed-income earners declines. This feels like a silent wealth transfer. And Islam is deeply concerned with justice in economic exchange. So scholars have debated. Does systematic inflation resemble unjust enrichment? But resemblance is not equivalence. The key difference. Riba is a direct, contractual gain without risk. Inflation is an indirect economic outcome. With Riba, the lender guarantees profit. With inflation, no one guarantees loss. It depends on asset positioning, business activity, investment, and policy. Inflation may be unjust. It may be mismanaged. It may disproportionately harm the poor. But injustice alone does not automatically make something Riba. Sharia rulings depend on structure, not just outcome. That's a crucial distinction. A deeper question. However, there is a deeper ethical issue. If a monetary system systematically erodes purchasing power, if money creation benefits asset holders first, if wealth concentration increases due to policy design, then even if it is not technically Riba, we must ask, is it aligned with the maqasid, the higher objectives of Sharia? Protection of wealth, justice, fair exchange. Islamic finance is not only about avoiding interest. It is about building equitable systems. So inflation may not be hidden Riba in a fiqh sense, but it may still reflect structural imbalance in modern economies. And that conversation is important. Inflation may not look like Riba. It doesn't arrive as a contract. It doesn't carry a percentage written beside your name. It moves quietly, through time, through systems, through policies most people never see. And that is why the question matters. Not to accuse, not to dramatize, but to become aware. Because Islamic finance was never only about avoiding obvious interest. It was about protecting justice, balance, and dignity in exchange. So perhaps the real reflection is not simply, is inflation Riba? But rather, how do we preserve fairness in a world where value slowly shifts? These are not easy answers, but they are necessary conversations. If this reflection gave you something to think about, consider subscribing to Islamic Finance Unboxed, where we explore the deeper questions behind money, ethics, and faith. So is inflation a form of hidden Riba? Strictly speaking, no. It does not meet the classical definition of Riba, but it does raise serious ethical concerns about monetary justice, wealth distribution, and systemic fairness. Understanding the difference protects us from oversimplification. Because strong Islamic finance thinking requires clarity, not slogans. If you found this discussion useful, subscribe for more grounded conversations on modern financial issues through an Islamic lens. And in the next episode, we'll examine another common question. Is fixed profit in Islamic banking really different from interest? I'll see you there.